Most embarrassing thing I wore as a kid. I mean, we're both immigrant children, so I think we've got a lot.
When?
Yeah, right. Anything pretty much like a leather outfit.
What?
My dad just told me like last week they were going through all of their old stuff and they still have, it's like a leather skirt and vest set. And he's like, it is gorgeous. And I'm like, okay. Like, it's very...
It is gorgeous.
I love it.
So when my parents were moving from Arizona, we were doing, like, going through, like, the photo albums and stuff. So there's two that I kind of vaguely remembered. And then when I saw the photos, I was like, oh, they're real. So one, it was my first grade photo that I did for picture day. And it was the first time that my mom wasn't able to get me ready for school that day. So I am in a Pocahontas pajama set. So like the 2-piece pajama set. And then I had this like Pocahontas dress that I wore on top of my pajamas. I then had my dad braided my hair and my braids were like this.
Aww.
They were completely off center. And then I decided that I wanted bangs. So I literally went in and cut my bangs. So I had this like combed look of a bang.
Just like that day you decided.
That day I decided. And then I lost my front tooth like a week before then.
Oh, no.
So I was toothless.
So you look like the Wendy's, like
Yeah, I 100%. So that one I remember very strongly. And then the other one, I was probably not even one, but it was this like polka dot, like 2-piece set that I was doing a photo shoot for my parents. And it honestly looked like I was wearing a clown costume. It was like so big and puffy. And then they had me in front of this like paint can that wasn't real. And I had to like pretend to be in it. And I was like, what did we love? We loved a good polka dot in the 90s. And then we also loved a good fringe.
Yes.
But I feel like I missed out on the leather getup and I'm very, very jealous.
I mean, we still have it. So if you want to, I can bring it to you and we can give it a whirl and see if it works. But I was probably like 6. But could you imagine a 6-year-old in like a
full leather getup?
Yeah.
Listen, you were ahead of your time.
I was.
There are people,
like I said, European, Italian. It looked pretty cool, but
so was it real leather?
Yeah.
Or like legit, like not leather?
Nope. Legit leather.
That was probably very expensive too.
I know.
You were wearing couture.
I was, as a 6-year-old.
Listen, we were dressed incredibly.
Yeah,
when we were
were.
children.
Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad.
Thanks. All right.
So we get into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so welcome to Lap It Like It's Hot, an IndyCar podcast where 2 millennial girls are talking about IndyCar. My name is Milena.
And I'm Monica.
So we are going to we're in May. Finally in May. So the traditions are coming alive. The Indy 500 is just around the corner. Yeah, so with this episode, we're going to recap a little bit of Barber.
Yep.
We'll talk a little bit about the Indy GP and just some little fun superlatives at the end of the show as well. And it's graduation season, so I figured why not? Let's give our drivers
it is graduation season.
Give them some superlatives. So yeah.
All right, perfect. Well, we'll kickstart with some news. I do feel like the news front has been pretty quiet lately, but we did have an announcement come out right before Barber. So basically, for the Indy GP, so the race that's coming up this weekend, teams are now required to use 2 sets of the alternate tire and 2 sets of the primary tire. So that's an increase.
So what was it before?
One of each.
One of each, okay.
So now they have to use 2 of each. So it's going to be interesting when you're thinking about, like, a lot of the drivers prefer a certain tire at a certain track. So if you have to, let's say the alternates are the top tire, then you have to put the primaries on twice. I'm calling this the Alex Palou rule of, like, let's make racing spicy again, especially since there hasn't been a lot of yellows. So we'll see what happens. It's going to create some strategic challenges, but what's nice about the IMS road course is that the teams are very familiar with it, so they at least should know if they're going to be pushing and doing an extra stint and doing 4 stops, they're going to be pushing and they're not going to be hitting fuel numbers. So we won't see any fuel saving. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens.
So it's just going to be a little bit more exciting racing then. Like if they can finally push a little bit harder and maybe get some of those yellows that will neutralize the race, and maybe Alex Palou won't win every single race. So
by like 15 seconds. And then there has been a slight adjustment. So practice 2 will just be reduced from 45 minutes to 35 minutes. I do think that because this is a Friday, Saturday weekend, it's not a Friday, Saturday, Sunday weekend. They're trying to make the time a little bit shorter to be a little bit more like, hey, you got to get your stuff done quicker because you're qualifying literally in a few hours after this. So we'll see what happens with the tire allotment. And then after the Indy GP with the 500, IndyCar is going to have a little bit of time to figure out whether or not they want to run this in Detroit after the 500. So more to come.
Cool.
But that's it on news. It was a very quiet news week, but we did just watch Barber.
Yeah. Which that track is super cool. I think we got to put that on our list to go because it's, I mean, just seeing all the structures and things like that. And it just seems awesome.
That museum, honestly, every time they did a preview of the museum, I was like, okay, you wouldn't think that outside of Birmingham, Alabama, you have this like incredible museum of motorcycles and F1 cars and like all of these vintage vehicles. And then you walk around and you're like, oh, this is also an art installation. You're like, where am I?
Yeah.
So
definitely not in Alabama. You wouldn't think that.
No, but I think they call it what, the Augusta of racetracks, like the golf course. So I get it. It's beautiful out there. So we'll definitely add it to our must go to. But like we talked about, no yellows.
No yellows
in
again.
3.95 races. Guys.
Has this like, I mean, I'm sure maybe it's happened before, but it just, and it wasn't necessarily a boring race, I would say, but I mean, yellows just make it a little bit more exciting to watch.
Yeah, and I also do think yellows, what I call is like the Cinderella story effect. When a yellow comes out and let's say a midfield team, it has that strategy, it gives opportunity for us to see those individuals maybe on the podium or doing something different. I hate to say it, but like it's the same 5-6 people that are running in the top 4 or 5. And you're like, okay, like it's always going to be either a Penske or a McLaren or a Ganassi. But when you have yellows, maybe, a Foyt car will get up there. Maybe, a JHR car will get up there. But yeah, but without any yellows, it really is challenging for us to be able to get those stories. And so many drivers were spinning out or falling off the track. And all of us were like, yellow?
Yeah. And no, they were just like, oh, just right back in. Like nothing happened.
Like, come on. But the hybrid has the restart feature now. So drivers can restart their cars. So the AMR safety team's probably like, oh.
They got nothing to do. They're just sitting there twiddling up their thumbs.
They're probably like, what's going on? But I do think that's changed the way IndyCar is racing. And the Indy GP, they didn't have hybrids either. So if the Indy GP, if we're going to have another green race, I think that might be one of in modern day IndyCar, the first time that we've had these many like green lapped races. So we'll see. And
I want to say and from the interviews from some of the drivers, they said that Barber was one of the like classic yellow flag races that they've had. So
they were clean into turn 1 and it rained a lot during the weekend and the grass was fairly wet and the aprons were wet too. And yes, we had some close calls, but no one really binned it or anything. And I'm like, it's like that meme of like the little stick guy poking like something on the ground being like, do something, please do something. So, but I do think it was still a good race. For Pole, Alex Palou showed up.
I just picture him listening to Katy Perry's Firework while he's in the car. Baby, you're fine. Because he was like 15 seconds ahead of everybody?
Sunday drive.
Yeah.
He was probably like waving to the fans. He's probably watching, his replay on the screen. At that point, I feel like once you had like a 15-second lead, I feel like IndyCar should allow you to play music.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like, can you just put Firework on my radio right now, please? Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Like, I'm sorry, but it's just incredible to me how
his nickname is Mr. Perfect.
how is he this perfect?
How is he? I don't know.
And I do wonder, why are we not talking about Alex Palou going to Cadillac?
Right? Yeah, there's no talks about it at all.
No, he is having, granted, there's only been 4 races, but he is
Well,
having.
last year he won the championship and he
True.
was.
But yeah, I just don't understand why we're not talking about him. He is having a Max Verstappen level seasons as a champion.
Unless he's been approached before and is like not interested.
Unless he feels PTSD from the McLaren deal that fell through that he's still in court for.
Yeah.
I
Is he really still in court for it?
Yeah, I think they haven't settled. Well, allegedly, we don't know really what's going on. But the last time I checked, they had a court date or an arbitration date.
Wow.
And I do wonder if that might be preventing him, because I don't know if a team wants to have a driver that might have a pending lawsuit.
Or that history of leaving.
Yeah. I still want to know what Chip Ganassi paid him to stay. Yeah. Honestly, like it has to be enough to mitigate the legal costs of having Zach Brown take you to court. Yeah. But he is driving incredibly. Mm-hmm. And I don't get how he keeps winning. Yeah. But spoiler alert, Alex Palou was on pole and he won the race. So we'll get that out of the way. Now let's talk about the rest of the race. Yeah. So
did you know that it was Felix Rosenqvist's 100th start with IndyCar?
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Fro. Yeah.
We love you, Fro. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so just a couple of fun facts about Alex. So he now leads the championship by 1.5 max race points. Yeah. So someone on X did the math. I am horrible at math, but basically, if Alex decided to take the Indy GP off and was like, I don't want to race it, he would still be 6 points ahead of Christian Lundgaard, who was second in the race or in the championship. So he literally has a buffer of having one bad race, and he can still win the championship by miles.
Good for him, Mr. Perfect.
I know. Mm-hmm. And honestly, all he has to do now, he doesn't have to keep winning. If he can at least podium second, third, fourth place, it will be solidified by Road America because he'll have too many points. So we'll see. The 500 and Alex, yes, Alex has gotten 500 pole before, but he's always struggled on ovals. Yeah. So I do think that the Penske's will still perform better at the 500, but we'll see. Yeah. Maybe if Alex Palou wins that 500 and the championship, why?
Unstoppable.
He has to go to F1. Like he has to try it out.
Yeah. So the Indy 500 is the first oval of the season, right? Yeah. And they haven't, not that they haven't had too much practice. They had the weekend 2 weeks ago that they were able to practice on the oval. Yeah. But did he, I don't even remember his performance on there if it said anything, but.
He did okay. I think, not to talk about the hybrid ad nauseum here, but the Penske's all three of them looked strong and fast, especially on boost day, but Alex was up there as well. I think Alex has had some bad luck at the 500. I think, wasn't it 2023 when VK crashed into him in the pit lane, which kind of screwed him for potentially winning. He's good on ovals, but he hasn't. When you think about ovals in IndyCar, you don't think about Alex Palou. You think about Joseph Newgarden, right? You think about those guys. But we'll see. Yeah. They looked okay, and practice for the 500 starts literally that Monday after the Indy GP. So we'll really get to see what Mr. Perfect has. My goodness.
Yeah, right.
But the rest of the podium, so Christian Lundgaard was second. So
he is on fire too.
Spicy take. I officially believe that Christian Lundgaard is the number one driver at McLaren now. Ooh. At least this season up till now. Wow. I'm sorry, but he was good at RLL. He just told Zach Brown, thank you for giving me the opportunity to show everyone how amazing I am.
I know. I wonder how Siegel and Pato are taking it, or what's going on in their minds. I mean, neither of them are driving terribly, just not at that level.
The last couple of seasons, we might have gotten a Fro when he was at McLaren on a podium, or a Rossi on the podium, but it was Pato's show. He was the dominating factor. And Christian, towards his time at the end of RLL, he was driving a car that wasn't great, and he won a race. He got poles, like he was doing well. And now he has a car that Rossi struggled in. And he's just like, all right, can't beat Alex, but I'll be second best.
Yeah.
And Pato's been struggling, and I don't know what's going on with him.
Mm-hmm.
I give Nolan a little bit of room for breath. He's still, I still think he's a rookie in my mind. He still has a year or two left to really get into it, but he performed well this week.
I was going to say, yeah, he qualified well. What was he, 6th?
I think he out-qualified both of them,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, he did.
So Nolan will get his flowers, but I think it'll take him some time. But Christian, keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, totally. Awesome.
Make Pato sweat a little bit.
Yeah. Maybe that's a lot of pressure though. Like, especially thinking about all like the commercials around Pato, and like he's the favorite, right, of IndyCar.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just that pressure that's just catching up to him now.
I don't know. I really do hope that he has a shot at the 500, because the more and more I follow IndyCar, the more and more I'm like, are you the Daniel Ricciardo? Are you going to be Daniel Ricciardo?
Yeah.
Where you were good and you were great. And I'm not saying Pato's not good. He's incredible. God, he's got ninja hands, but he is commercial and he is marketable. And they have really pushed that. And fans really love him. Yeah. It's almost copy and paste what Daniel was like after he left Red Bull. Yep. And that scares me a little bit.
Yeah.
And
I hope not, because he was still, especially like watching him win races and stuff like that. It's always so much fun.
I know.
But
Pato, don't hate me. I still want you to win the 500, but I do think that you'd shut up a lot of people if you got back on the podium and took Christian and said, okay, it's my time.
Right.
Move over, please.
Yes.
And then finally we had Scotty Mack on for third, a brand new U.S. citizen.
Yes.
Scotty Mack.
Congratulations on that. That's awesome.
I know.
Welcome to the country.
I know.
Officially.
Forever a Kiwi, but now you got a little USA in your blood now.
Yep. You'll get your ribeyes in the mail.
When do those come for me? I want ribeyes in the mail.
We were born here. That's
I
the
know.
problem.
Did our parents get them?
I don't know.
We gotta ask them.
We'll ask. Yeah.
All right. And our biggest mover was Scott Dixon. I think if Scott qualified better, he had a horrible qualification. He probably could have podiumed.
Yeah.
He had the pace, but
there's a lot of slipping and sliding because of the weather on qualifying.
Yeah, and I do think that Scott still is struggling with the hybrid and how heavy the car is, but he was our biggest mover.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. What were your overall thoughts for the weekend?
Like things that like made me really upset. Of course, poor Colton with he's such bad luck with his pit stops that like he lost 4 or 5 positions because of I don't even know what was happening. Did the tire change,
of
right?
Course it was
a tire.
So I wrote this down so I wouldn't forget. I had Andretti under my biggest losers.
Yes.
There's things that are certain. Taxes, death, and a shitty Andretti pit stop for Colton. Those are 100%.
Gonna always bank on that. That's gonna happen.
It's just, yep. So I agree with you when I was like, Colton's actually like in the top 4. Like he can maybe do this. And then he went to pit in second pit cycle. And I was like,
oh, of course.
Okay, well, we're not. Of course. So, those are some certain things. But I agree. Like, come on. At some point, Colton's got to say something.
Right.
Like,
how do they pick their pit crew? Like, how do you train? Because, like, they're just cursed, especially at Andretti. So, like, how do they keep switching them out? Are they trained harder? Like, what do they do during the week? I wonder. That's a question that we should research.
And it's always the back tires.
Yeah.
So it's the back tire changers that are struggling, and no other Andretti has had issues consistently like this. Well, we were was it Milwaukee where Colton lost a tire?
Yes.
The back tire.
Was that Milwaukee or was, oh yeah.
That was
Milwaukee.
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 And I was like, okay, Colton lost the back tire again.
Yeah.
So this can be a whole other episode, and maybe we'll talk about this another time because when I'm feeling very spicy. But I do think that there is a decrease in talent for IndyCar, especially from a pit crew perspective. When you look at NASCAR pit crews, they do the fun like NFL intros, and they're like, "Hi, I'm Bobby. I went to the University of Pittsburgh, and I was a lineman." And this guy's just like jacked, and he's like, "And I'm the back tire guy." And these guys are like athletes or Olympians or, guys and girls that are like just, they are at the peak performance and they pay really well.
Yeah, I was actually looking at the salaries. Like it could be, well, I was looking at F1 salaries, which is probably a little bit different than IndyCar, but like, yeah, they get paid pretty damn well.
But in IndyCar, it's not, they don't get paid that well. It's like some teams don't have the budget. But I feel like Andretti should have the budget.
Right.
Or swap some of these guys and girls out.
Or I wonder, is there like a standard where they have to, like everyone has to have like an even playing field, but then then Andretti does not have an even because their people are not performing.
Like you've seen even Alex Palou's pit stop during, I think it was the third or second pit cycle. He went in, Christian Lundgaard came in after him, and he's still, their pit stop was so fast that he added additional 3 seconds to his lead just in the pit stall.
That's amazing.
You look at like Joseph Newgarden, Newgarden's crew, like they're like the Red Bull, like pit crew that you see that are just like, holy crap. And then you see Colton and it's like, do. It's just like, I'm like, guys, he is so good and he is so consistent and he's qualifying this car so well and you're failing him.
Right.
I understand it must be really stressful and your adrenaline's pumping and mistakes happen, but it's like if I made that mistake at work constantly, I would be cardboard box on desk.
Right. Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, I'm gonna look into that to see like what qualifications that you need to complete or whatever to be in a pit crew for IndyCar besides being an athlete.
It might be really interesting, and I don't know how we could do this, but I would love to talk to somebody who was on a pit crew or is on a pit crew, because I want to learn more about like how do they prepare, what do they do. I'm assuming there's some sort of physio and things of that nature, and I know they practice in the shops.
Yeah,
like. Is it like a true 9 to 5 or like after race week, you're in the shop practicing reps and reps and reps, right? So I feel like take a note. We'll have an episode on that. Yeah. I think that would be cool.
Cool. Yeah.
But yeah, I think outside of Andretti, my other biggest losers, I did say Penske, but not Scotty Mack. Scotty Mack did well, but did you hear Will Power's radio during the race?
Yeah, he was fiery. He was spicy.
He was so spicy. I was like, is he going to start flipping birds out of the cockpit? Like,
thank God that they don't have that penalty where you can't swear on the radio in IndyCar. I think everyone would rage quit if they had that.
Could you imagine if like Ben Suliam walked in and was just like, I am now the owner of, IndyCar. You cannot swear on the radio. No. They'll be like, It's
a good outlet. Swearing. Have you ever seen like those studies where like people put their hands in ice water and people who swear and like are frustrated when there's so much pain, they can withstand more pain like longer in the water. So like the swearing,
it helps.
Yeah.
So it helps
with pain, accepting that pain, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. The Will was so furious. They really screwed him on strategy. I think Will is technically racing for a contract. His contract expires.
Yep.
So if the team keeps screwing him, how is he supposed to show that I should have the seat for another year and not David Malukas? Or, well, no one's really talking about Santino possibly moving up, but like that seat's going to be open, right? Yeah. And Joseph Newgarden, he was like in the top 15, just floundering about. Yeah. And from the beginning of the season, Joseph was like, I'm focusing on winning another championship. How?
Yeah.
You're nowhere.
He hasn't been anywhere. I feel like has not been performing either.
No. So those were my biggest losers was, Andretti and Penske. I know Ericsson had
he had troubles too. Yep. Kirk would do it, didn't he?
Yeah, he kind of was just there in no man's land.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm very spicy today. Yeah. How long is Marcus Ericsson going to keep that seat if he keeps driving this way?
I don't know.
He was doing so well, and then he came to Andretti, and I don't know, is it the Andretti curse? But like every race, he has this mishap, he has this hiccup, and Colton and Kyle are just running circles around him. And I'm like, you're an Indy 500 winner. What are you doing? So I there's some, question marks. Watch, I'm gonna eat my words, and like Marcus Ericsson's gonna win like the next race, or Colton.
Good, because that's what we want. All right, we want an Andretti win, and we're Andretti fans here.
Andretti full podium, 1, 2, 3, let's go.
Let's do it. Make it happen, boys.
But there were some winners this week too. Rinus VeeKay. He put a Dale Coyne into the fast six in qualies. Everyone audibly gasped. I think Dale was probably so excited that he picked him up. He was announced 3 weeks, not even 2 weeks before the season started.
Yeah,
because Ed Carpenter they terminated his contract abruptly to bring on Rossi, and he's been driving the boots off that thing.
Good.
Yeah. So we'll see what Rinus does, but Rinus does love the Indy GP. It's a really good course for him, so maybe
he won back in 2021.
Yeah, so hopefully he'll take the momentum into the month of May, and there's some magic there for him. But I'm happy for him because he did get screwed over a little bit by a back wheel pit stop issue, but I will give them a little bit more grace than Colton's team a little bit. But he did great. Like at one point he was pushing possibly Scotty to get a podium. Yeah. And Dale probably was holding his breath the entire time.
And that's like the Cinderella stories that we're talking about that we want to see, that we don't want to see the same consistent people winning, and like that's what makes this racing so exciting.
Yeah, like imagine if Rinus took over Scotty. He took over a Penske to get a podium. Like, yes, Alex Palou won by like 15 seconds, but there would be a story about like, look at Rinus taking a team that is underfunded, doesn't have, the same money as Penske, and being like, I got a podium over you guys on pace. So those are the moments I really do enjoy. So I'm hoping to see a little bit more of that.
For sure. Yep.
I guess my biggest WTF moment also was putting both ECR drivers on horrible strategies. Yeah. Rossi, similar to VeeKay, was running up there, and then they were like, just kidding, we're putting you on the hard tire at the end. Good luck.
Yeah. Terrible. I mean, yeah, because Rossi, he's a huge winner, and I don't know what their thought process was. Did they just run out of tires?
I think they wanted, it goes back to the green race strategy. I don't think a lot of these teams believe that every race is going to be a green race. So they're probably like, if they're yellow comes up, we'll throw on the blacks. You'll run them for like, the next yellow, and then we'll put on the reds at the end. But it never happened.
Yeah.
But it's really nice to see both ECR cars in the top 15. They won't be needing to worry about leadership circle if they keep performing this way. And I still do believe that Rossi will have a podium at some point this season.
Definitely.
So, all right. You want to get into the Indy GP?
Yes. So, yeah. How many years ago did we go to it? Like
2023.
Yeah. I just remember I have this vivid memory of us doing Malort shots in the stands.
We were.
So, yes. And it was very hot. I remember I also forgot to just one spot on my back I did not get sunscreen. So I still have a scar on my back from that.
Well, it's funny because the last time I went to the Indy 500 in 2022, I forgot to put sunscreen in the swole of my back. And so I got really burnt there, and I still have a scar. So Brutal. We have, love marks from IMS.
So we just have to watch each other and just be like, hey, you missed a spot. So.
Constantly putting on sunblock. It was fun to go. Yeah. It's definitely a quieter race.
Oh, 100%. What is it like? Not even a quarter of the amount of people as the 500. And I don't think we didn't even walk around that much at all.
No.
But just not as much congestion. You still get the experience of IMS. It was fun.
Yeah. And
it was a fun race.
You can still get pretty decent seats. Like they don't sit the main front stretch, and I think a lot of it has to do with like season ticket holders and juju and vibes. But It was a nice day. It's great racing. We were right on turn one. And we were newbies.
Yeah, we
We were
were.
babies to the IndyCar series. We were like, oh, what's going on? And now we're chit-chatting about it going, wow, that was only a few years ago. Look at
Yep.
us.
I also remember us ordering, didn't we get pork chop sandwiches?
We did. Staple. You have to.
We do have to.
But there have been some longtime winners from the current grid. Will Power has 5 victories at the Indy GP. Joseph Newgarden has a victory. Scott Dixon has 2. Rinus VeeKay, like we mentioned. Rossi has 1. Herta 1. Notoriously, I think everyone remembers Herta's amazing save in the wet with his ninja hands when he was drifting. And then Alex Palou has won 2023 and 2024. So the 3P question still exists with Alex Palou. But this is a favorite track for a lot of drivers, and it sets the tone for the month of May. So we'll see what happens. But last year's race was Alex Palou took it. I believe it was like a 16-second lead. So it was one of those Alex Palou races. Turn 1 is always an amazing opportunity for crazy driving, 3 wide, or a lot of yellows do happen there. So hopefully there will be some chaos this time around. But last year, the RLL looked strong. Christian Lundgaard looked really great when he was with RLL. Tire strategy is a huge part of this race. And this is where Grosjean and Ferrucci started their incredible season-long fight, where they were fighting on and off the track. So we got some spiciness from those two.
Especially with Grosjean, he's just such a calm person. I mean, Ferrucci, he's got some spice and fire underneath him, so I'm not surprised there.
Yeah.
But to start something with Grosjean, who just seems like so calm and cool all the time.
Yeah, but if you push Grosjean enough, then he starts getting really spicy. And I think Santino pushed him to that level. And at one point, Santino pushed him off the track, and then Grosjean pushed him back. It was one of those, and I'm like, it was clean racing, but it was fun to watch them get a little spicy.
Yeah.
So
a little bit about like what the track info. So it's a little bit under 2.5. So it's 2.439 miles long. So it's a 14 turn road course. So it incorporates turn 1 and 2. And then the rest of it kind of goes in between the park. It's like I said, so the circuit is within the infields, and it just, it's a fun race. It's very different. 85 laps for this race for the Indy GP.
So it'll be interesting to see if they're going to be mandating a minimum of a 4-stop. It'll be interesting to see what those tire windows are going to be, and see what's going to happen. Because 85 laps and 4 stops that's you're stopping. What, I'm really bad at math. Like basically almost every 20-ish laps. Like are you actually putting full fuel in the car at that point, or are you just putting enough in to make those 4 stops?
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting, but I didn't want to put Alex Palou as my winner prediction for the race. So I'm going to say Christian Lundgaard steals the show and wins his first papaya win. I do think that Scott Dixon is warming up. So I do think that Scott will get a pole, but I'm not counting Rinus out of this.
Yeah.
I still think that he's going to take that momentum from Barber and maybe get a podium.
Yeah. So with my predictions, I'm usually wrong. So let's go with Palou and with winning and on pole. So hopefully I am wrong. But I know, so in the last race, I feel like Malukas did well too. He in practice, he was like top rated, right? Like number 1.
Yeah.
So I'm going with Malukas. I'm going with the Chicago boy, right? Midwest.
My little Dave.
Yes.
Yeah, so we'll see. But just a reminder for all of us watching, the race is on Saturday.
Yes.
So practice 1, practice 2, and qualies are going to be on Friday, and then the race and warm-up will be on Saturday. So it's the only race on the calendar that is on Saturday.
So it's going to be 3:45 Central Time on Saturday.
Okay. I got to remember that
Mm-hmm.
because Saturdays are not usually race day for us.
Yes, that and in Indiana is an hour ahead of us.
Yes, because they're Eastern still. So, all right, cool.
Weird. So I thought it would be fun in honor of graduation season to talk about maybe some senior superlatives with some of the drivers. So let's start off with best dressed. Who do you think would be best dressed? Who's your opinion?
it's easy to go with.
All of these could be Pato easily.
I know.
By the way.
I was gonna say like Pato, all of the above. So I'm like trying really hard not to think Pato. I feel like maybe not best dressed, but I feel like he's very dapper. I feel like Joseph Newgarden's got a really nice style.
Yeah.
He dresses up really well, but he also has good street style as well.
Yeah.
Or David Malukas. I think David has incredible street style. So
Yeah.
I feel like one of those two for me.
So I'm going with Pato on this just because I know he sports Tom Ford sunglasses all the time and I love Tom Ford, so love it. I
Wait,
absolutely love
did you see the new sunglasses that he had this weekend?
No, he switched them.
They were like these Oakley, like those Oakley
like
giant
the
ones.
obnoxious
and they
ones?
had like, they were black and he's like, everyone loved my sunglasses. And I feel like it was more 50-50. Like some people were like, oh my God, no, go back to the Tom Fords.
Yeah.
I am on that.
I'm on the Tom Ford train.
Tom Ford
Yeah,
only,
100%.
no Oakley giant.
Yes. No. Okay, so the next one I have is Class Clown. So I know neither of these guys are active drivers.
Okay.
But my vote is either James Hinchcliffe or Tony Kanaan because I've heard hilarious stories and I was reading up on some of the things that they've done to other drivers. One was they filled Connor Daly's trailer with balloons and the balloons had confetti. So if they did pop, then there was just confetti everywhere. And not only that, the back part of his trailer was all balloons and the front part were Solo cups full of water.
Oh
So
my
even
God.
so if he tried to walk through, he would spill the water. If he popped the balloons, the confetti would just get wet. So I think that's one of the funniest pranks that I've ever heard.
I would have a nervous breakdown and I'd be like, I'm selling this trailer. I need another one.
You would never get the confetti out of there.
The confetti will be everywhere.
Yeah.
Nope. Mm-mm.
Orbeez in Connor Daly's hot tub, which is hilarious too. I can't even imagine. There was a train horn that was placed in Marco Andretti's trailer. So like while he was sleeping, this train horn goes off. Like I would have a panic attack too. Hilarious. Also, Tony Kanaan, while they were in Japan, I believe, took everyone's left shoe and shipped it back to the US. just cold. That's just real. I love it.
Could you imagine being like, I gotta buy new? Were they actual walking shoes or their race shoes?
I don't know.
Okay.
That would be super cruel if it was their race shoes.
can't race this
We would
weekend.
not be able to race. But that, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think for me, I feel like Alex Rossi, like he's silent but deadly kind of.
Yes. He's got that like the dry sense of humor and he would roast you to death.
Yeah, and I feel like he would do pranks, but like maybe not confetti and Orbeez. Like I feel like he would be the one that would like, put toothpaste on your hot dog.
Yes.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like those kind of things. And then oh my gosh, I do think I feel like Scotty Mack can do some funny things too. I feel like he would be a guy that would
Good sense of humor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'd be like, yeah. And I feel like he would take it too. Like he's probably really good at receiving some cruel.
I'm sure.
jokes.
I'm sure there's a lot of things that we don't know too that like as spectators are probably like, yeah, they can't show that on TV.
No, we don't want this to be Jackass IndyCar edition.
No, definitely not. Best smile.
All of them.
Right? They all have pretty good smiles.
I feel like Kyle Kirkwood has a great smile,
Mm-hmm.
especially now with like the beard and the tan. I feel like that's a great smile.
Yeah. I'm going with Helio. Helio's got a pretty dapper smile, Prince Charming smile. So
he's got a lot to smile about.
he sure
Come
does.
on.
He sure does. He sure does. Most likely to brighten your day.
Oh,
Who walks around with like a positive attitude all the time?
David Malukas.
Yeah.
I feel like he's always just a ray of sunshine. I'm also thinking about the drivers that we've met. Renus.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like anytime I've met Renus on the track, he's always smiling and super engaging.
Yeah. Yeah. Rumor is that also like Joseph Newgarden has like a super positive attitude that he walks around. I mean, he married a Disney princess.
Come on.
So she would probably brighten my day too. She knows, yeah.
I was gonna say, do they have to be drivers? Because I feel like
Right?
I would feel like that would be incredible to be like, can you just sing something for me?
Right? Exactly. Can you just turn on the Disney princess charm for a second and just take a picture with me or something?
Yeah. Do you still have the dress? Like, just get all done up. It's fine.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness.
Most likely to start a band.
Well, it can't be Colton because he's already in one.
What?
You didn't know?
No.
Colton's in a band.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, he's in. I feel like he plays drums. I could be wrong, but he's like in like an alternative band, and they tour and stuff.
No way. Interesting.
Yeah, so it
I
can't
had
be
no
Colton.
idea.
Yeah,
I know Connor Daly apparently plays a guitar and he can sing.
he can sing.
Yeah.
Connor, please start singing on your podcast.
Right? Why not?
Yeah.
Best hair. I mean, mine was Colton. I mean, he's got some
does.
pretty dreamy, thick hair.
Luscious locks.
Luscious.
I hate to say it, but I do think Colton does have the best hair. I also think Callum Ilott has really great hair.
Yeah.
But all of them have widow's peaks underneath all of those mops.
Yeah.
I hate to say it.
Yeah.
Because they're pulling their hair back in that helmet all the time. So
they're getting the
oh
receding
yeah,
hairline
I
maybe a little
think
bit.
Marcus Armstrong on Connor Daly's last podcast, like literally was like, "Oh, I have great hair," and then he pulled his hair back, and it was like, and it was like the true receding hairline, and I'm like, listen, you guys can take your private jets to Turkey anytime.
Yeah. Oh man. Most extroverted introvert. It's got to be Rossi.
Yeah, and I also think Colton a little bit.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh no, he's just a straight up introvert.
he's
I
just
think.
like, don't talk to me.
Don't talk to me. But I feel like Alex Rossi, like he just seems like he's got like a cat personality.
Yeah. You know who, like Stingray, I feel like also has that. Like
Yeah.
he can be really like out there and awesome, and then he can be very like introverted and quiet.
Yes.
So
Yeah. Most likely to be a TikTok dancer.
oh my gosh. Well, it's David.
Yeah.
He's done TikTok dances.
I was gonna say
it has to be David.
It's gotta be. Yeah, that's because he's a avid blogger, or like a vlogger, I should say.
Yeah.
Like he's on Instagram all the time.
Little
but
Dave,
yeah.
if racing doesn't work out for you, you can be an influencer.
TikTok star for sure.
For sure.
100%. Most likely to be a food critic.
I don't know why, but I feel like Will Power would be a really good food critic. He would
Yeah.
like bring a little bit of like fun, and
He's
like,
got the Gordon Ramsay
Yeah.
attitude, I think, right? That he would just be like, "This is fucking terrible."
or just be like, "This is amazing. Give me fucking 50 of these now."
Right, yes, exactly. I know Scotty Mack apparently is a self-proclaimed foodie, so maybe he would be
Drop
pretty
the
good
cooking. Drop the cooking channel.
too. Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Last but not least, most likely to be a professional gamer.
I feel like Connor Daly.
Yeah.
I believe at some point during the off season or even during COVID, he did live streams of him gaming. I still think he does.
Yeah.
So I know he's a big gamer.
Yeah. Ferrucci too. Ferrucci's a huge one that does esports and stuff like that. So yeah,
Okay.
huge gamer. So
Huh. I guess when you're in the trailer for, the month of May and you're living in your trailer,
right.
having a little Xbox or PlayStation and playing some games.
Can only sit in a car for so long.
I know.
So
I wonder how many drivers have a Wii in their trailers
They've got
when they're
to.
at IMS and they're just doing like Wii Sports or anything like
they've got to. Probably. So
that was
but yeah.
good.
Yeah, kind of fun, right?
I like that.
Yeah. I'd like to ask some of the drivers some of these questions and see what their answers would be. I think it
Yeah.
would be fun. So maybe we'll make it happen if we
We get to see them.
Mhm.
We'll drop some questions
Yeah.
on them. All right. We'll remember to do that.
Yeah.
So stay tuned. We might get some driver reactions coming soon.
Yeah.
So I think the only thing left for us to chat about is just a quick little update. So we did have an Indy Next race as well this week at Barber. This was their second race of the season. Dennis Hauger from Andretti pole and won. Alex piloted as well.
Nice.
So we'll see. He is now the title contender. But with the new changes with the championship, if Colton does not get that Cadillac seat and Andretti stays the same, I won't go back to my Marcus Ericsson slander here. Louis Foster was an Andretti driver. He's now at RLL. Where would Dennis go?
Mhm.
So it starts to pose the question of if he's really going to be that good, he's going to be in IndyCar next season.
Yeah.
Where is he going to go? So we'll see what happens. There was some drama a little bit about a driver who got a reprimand for, we don't know exactly what he did, but he either got into a cursing fight or said some language to an official or a race director.
Yikes.
So he's on a little bit of probation. So
Can't
we'll
do
see
that,
what
dude.
doing. But Haley Deegan is still one of the only women on the field, and she's getting better. Like, she's progressing slowly. I know it's hard for her to this is still all practice for her, but I do think by the end of the season she should be doing well as well. So we'll see what happens when Indy Next is at the Indy GP. They are doing a double header, so there will be 2 races for them this weekend. So we'll see what happens there as well.
Awesome. Very cool.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for watching. We appreciate you guys taking a listen. The next couple of weeks are going to be chaotic and there's going to be a lot going on. So we'll hopefully be able to provide you some insight about what went down at the Indy GP. Then we'll talk about all things Indy 500, and the official countdown for us going to the 500 really begins. But if you want to hear more about us, please follow us on social. So we're Lap It Like It's Hot on Instagram, Threads, and BlueSky. We are also available on YouTube, Spotify Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. If you want to continue watching us on video, YouTube is where it's at. And we'll keep you posted till next time.
Thanks for watching, guys.
All right, bye.
Bye.